narcissism, toxic harmony, and white women. Let's go. For this section, I'm actually going to geek out on some psychology research and human behavioral statistical studies. What I'm going to be looking at is the most common personality type amongst women, as well as how personality type affects how narcissism shows up or expresses itself. If you do not care about any of this, feel free to skip to the next section, although I will admit that I think you may find it very valuable. If you happen to be interested in MBTI personality type, cognitive functions by Jung, then you will definitely find this section enjoyable. We are going to be talking about extroverted feeling. And if you think that you might be suffering from narcissistic abuse, this section may be particularly triggering, or it could possibly be restorative or enlightening. So I'm going to say consider where you are in your life journey or your healing journey and proceed with caution. I am not going to go in and give a full cognitive function analysis. Here, I'm going to very briefly touch over how extroverted feeling, which is one of the 8 functions in Jung's cognitive function research. Also, it is the functions that make up MBTI personality types like an INTJ, ENTP, blah, 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 blah. I am incredibly passionate about studying how the functions and personality types are supposed to interact with each other, particularly within collectivist societies, and I'm going to be discussing that a lot on this channel. There will be a whole playlist called Cognitive Functions for the Revolution, but for this particular video essay, I just want to focus on extroverted feeling because about 30% of the population of women have a personality type that has extroverted feeling in the top 2 slots. And again, I'm going to try to do a very brief synopsis on functions so you understand what I'm talking about here, but this is not the full iota, okay? There are 8 total cognitive functions. There are 4 function types. You have feeling, sensing, intuition, and thinking. And then each of those function types are extroverted or introverted. The function that we're going to be talking about right now is extroverted feeling.
Don't you talk to me like that.
You know, I'm just making a leap here, but I'm assuming that Pearl doesn't know any of this, that this has just been your secret.
As I am talking about cognitive functions, I will mention the tribe very often. The tribe just means your community. It can mean your more immediate community of family and friends, or your more expanded community. When I'm talking about tribe as a collective group of white women, tribe is white people. So in this video, when I talk about white women and their tribe, or mirroring their tribe, or the feelings of their tribe, I'm talking about white people, okay? We're not in their tribe, even if you're part of their family. Okay, so I've given you the groundwork for functions. Now let me explain to you what FE does. There's introverted feeling and extroverted feeling. Introverted feeling is who the fuck you are, and extroverted feeling is harmony for the tribe. Women who have FE in their top 2 functions, which again are 30% of the population, and that is the function that has given us the feminine stereotype, unfortunately, even though 70% of women are not that. They have FE in the top 2. All they want to do is create harmony for the tribe. The tribe is white people. That is their whole purpose. It gives them life. Like it's like me getting to organize and find connections, you know? Like, it gives me life, it feeds my soul. I have to use my imagination. And they feel the same way about creating harmony for the tribe. The tribe is white people. Another way that extroverted feeling is described is nurturing trust through giving relationships. People with FE do not want to be around their tribe or group if there's negative feelings. Negative feelings break their soul. They would rather have no feelings. They would rather have no feelings than negative feelings. So it's positive feelings or no feelings. That's the only options they give you. I also want to put in context for this video that I am definitely talking about the most unhealthy version of FE. So this is not a standard for FE. If you are a healthy person with FE, first, I love you. You're some of my favorite people and bestest of friends. But please just remember it is FE within the context of being toxic or narcissist.
the home of the family. Madrigal, we're on our way. Where all the people are fantastical and magical. I'm part of the family. Madrigal.
One of the magical powers of extroverted feeling is empathy. It is the ability to at least display similar emotions as the tribe, or the same emotions as the tribe, or the exact same emotions as the tribe. It's saying the tribe is having a good time, so I'm having a good time. Even if you deep down inside would rather be at home playing video games. FE, extroverted feeling, people who have that in their top 2 functions tend to censor themselves. They tend to say, ooh, what I have to say in this situation is not going to continue to make harmony for the tribe, so I'll maybe just keep it to myself. And this can be in positive ways or sometimes in toxic ways. FE is able to disconnect from their emotions. So someone who has extroverted feeling in their top 2 functions may be able to have a very big public display of emotions, of feelings. Yes, you are! Whether positive or negative, and have no connection to that being a representation of who they are. So because feelings are so, fluent to them, they are very fluent in feelings, that means that they can wear feelings very easily and convincingly. Think of a tool that someone with extroverted feeling has is, I can express these emotions, but they don't represent who I am, so it doesn't matter what that emotional expression looks like or says about me to other people.
I'm gonna tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life.
Let's talk a little bit more about the amazing magical skills of extroverted feeling, and I want to emphasize again that people who are balanced and healthy of extroverted feeling are some of the most amazing people and have some of the most amazing people around them and tribes around them. We are talking about when FE is a motherfucking white woman narcissist. Let's talk about how extroverted feeling works, what it does. Please remember that this is in the context of FE being toxic, unbalanced, and narcissistic. So you can flip these into positives and yay, that's what we want people with extroverted feeling to be like. It's best for all of us, the collective community. FE people are beautiful, the way that you guys can do your thing when you're healthy. So the first thing they're going to do is going to be able to mirror the tribe's feelings in order to fake harmony and inquire about knowledge needed to manipulate the tribe in the future. Oh my God, that's so beautiful. And when did you guys get married? Yes? And what's your tax ID number and where does your mother-in-law live? Oh my God, did you hear she got married the same day that her grandfather died? Yeah, and her mother-in-law lives on the corner. Totally just got evicted. I don't know if she's gonna be good for this group. FE knows exactly what is acceptable in every social situation and can push it right up to the line without crossing the line expertly. Yes, Pastor, of course my husband was home this weekend. And where was your wife? FE knows exactly how the crowd is going to react to feelings, emotions, or new information, and is very good at playing to the crowd. Okay, darling, yes. No, I know that you want to wear that outfit, but if you don't wear this outfit, you're going to make mommy look bad at the preschool. FE is great at knowing exactly where your emotional triggers are, and then the exact code to push those buttons. You think you should wear that type of skirt with our family's ankles? FE knows how to tailor the delivery of what they say, so it is within the audience's communication style, which makes whatever they are saying incredibly believable, which makes them incredibly trusted by the tribe. Oh my God, I know exactly how you feel. It's so important to me. FE values the social harmony over their own feelings. Even if they don't feel good about a situation, they will participate if it means that the tribe will feel good or harmonious about it. Oh, do not come talk to me. Do not come talk to me. Hi, Janice. FE is great at mediating between two people, but when FE is toxic, it will use that ability to mediate between two people to manipulate the situation in their own advantage. You kids arguing about who gets to use the car? Yeah? How about this? How about you guys both take the car together and go get mommy's groceries? Now, thank you. FE has a strong drive to fix people. It mainly comes from their mirroring of emotions and being able to feel how that person is struggling through that moment or through that part in their life. And because they can feel it so strongly, they want to help. Their best way is to have you not have that emotion any longer. The emotional weight of your problem makes them not feel good about themselves, so they're gonna fix it. Now you know you are my favorite daughter. But if you get divorced, it's really not going to work out well for, how we look with the community. So let's see if we can't get you two into therapy. Toxic narcissistic FE will give unconditional love and support, unconsensually. I know you said you're fine, but I'm coming to pick you up anyways. FE feels perfectly content with a public display of extroverted emotion, even if that may make them personally and their personal self-identity not look good to the tribe. They can disconnect that outward expression of feeling to who they are as a person. I want to speak to your fucking manager right now. I do not care who is watching. Get your manager. So now imagine people with expert mastery level of the skills I just mentioned, and then also narcissistic. So I just want to put a disclaimer right here, because I know a bunch of you are going to want to go down in the comments and be like, you are not a fucking licensed professional. You don't have a PhD behind your name. You can't diagnose narcissism. And I want to emphasize that narcissism is just a descriptive word. Narcissistic personality disorder is actually a disorder. That's what you have to have a PhD to diagnose, but it's doesn't need a medical degree for you to be able to say that someone is a narcissist or expressing narcissistic behaviors. So now that we've established what extroverted feeling looks like in social situations and how it displays itself, let's talk a little bit about narcissism. Narcissism develops when someone's self-esteem or self-image is so low they can no longer cope, and they create an alternate reality. To do that, they have to manipulate people in their life that reflect that reality. Narcissists use very destructive manipulation tactics to get the tribe around them to conform to what their reality that they want to project is. It's sad because narcissism is really just a way for that individual to hide really, really, really deep self-loathing. I have a series on my channel that you can check out that dives deeper into all the different types of displays of narcissism, as well as a real fun version of narcissism called collective narcissism, which unfortunately I believe white people as a society are suffering from. And that also makes sense and falls in line with the systematic racism that we can't seem to weed out from the system. Hopefully you guys will be able to also come to this conclusion on my channel, but I've come to the conclusion that the reason why we can't push past systematic racism, besides the fact that we need to overthrow the state,
Sis modes of production, go! What are you waiting?
Do it!
is because collectively white people are also dealing with collective narcissism, which is also connected to a misunderstanding of the hierarchies between the genders within white traditional homes. But stay tuned on my channel. Hopefully I'll be able to connect the dots for you. So there is a lot more research being done about narcissism right now, and one of my favorite people to learn from is Doctor Ramani. Please go check out their channel. In one of the videos, they shared that they think the estimate right now of the current American population is that 30% of Americans are narcissists. 30%. So we have 30% of white women who have FE as a dominant top two functions, and 30% of those women are also suffering from narcissism. And that's a lot of women. I did the math off the top of my head. Let's see. It's a lot of women. They're estimating about 30% of the population is suffering from narcissism. They have to say that it's an estimate because majority of narcissists are never coming to therapy to fix anything because our society is obsessed with them, and we actually reward their behavior by giving them raises or reality shows or writing characters that are narcissists that people are obsessed with, like Succession. Actually, that's a whole other video topic that I could do, which is how America is suffering from collective narcissism and collective narcissistic abuse, but is also just so obsessed with narcissists within our entertainment and art spaces. It's wild. So, like I previously mentioned, there are different types of narcissism. There are actually about 8 different types of narcissism, which is really interesting because there are also 8 cognitive functions. And yeah, I have maybe done the connective of the dots to show how narcissism will show up and what type of narcissism will show up, how it will express itself based on your personality type. I maybe spent like 8 hours in the middle of the night one night just connecting dots to figure out what that was. I maybe did.
6.5 hours later.
I think it's accurate. I think so. People who have extroverted feeling, or FE, in one of their top 2 functions for their personality type are typically going to be either cultural, generational narcissist, or they will be communal narcissist. Communal narcissist is kind of how it sounds. They're going to be like big philanthropist and like toxic activism. They're very like white savior. And this tends to be like maybe almost like, 50% of politicians. It can also show up, like I mentioned, as cultural generational narcissist. And this shows up in behaviors that are like, very controlling, authoritarian, very patriarchal, a lot of paternalism, very power and control hungry, and it's very much rooted in individualism and fear, typically fear of change. And it's just interesting. It's just really interesting that those are the 2 types of narcissism that show up for such a large percentage of the white women, or just women, but white women population. It's interesting because does that not sound like a lot of mothers? It's also very interesting because it literally just explains the only difference between Democrats and Republicans. Democrats are communal narcissists and Republicans are cultural generational narcissists, authoritarians. And to wrap this section up, if anything that I mentioned triggered anything or made you think that, oh no, maybe I'm suffering from a narcissist in my life, or maybe I had a narcissistic mother, no matter what race you are, please go check out Dr. Ramani's channel. She has multiple videos about having mothers or just parents as narcissists, how that affects the children as far as like the black sheep or the golden child. Really, really informative and literally changed my life. I would not have been able to go down this healing process if I did not know that this is what had been going on with my mother. And like I mentioned before, you can check out multiple videos where I talk about narcissism on this channel. I did a breakdown of Nick Brana from the People's Party trying to defend himself against the allegations that have come out against him recently in the last few months, and I literally broke it down to show like all of the narcissistic tactics he's using in the moment. So if that might be helpful, check it out. Title card. I don't have a clever outro. Title, just put the title card up. Unfortunately, the current doctors and PhDs don't have a lot of solutions for narcissism. Like we mentioned before, only about 3 to 5% of narcissists even end up in treatment, and when they do, they are definitely not there to work on their narcissism. They're normally there because their narcissistic tactics like gaslighting and projection haven't worked, and they are depressed, lonely, or unsuccessful in their fantasy world that they have created. Psychologists and researchers have found that narcissists are really unable to love. They are unable to create loving, connecting relationships. which really breaks down how narcissists navigate through life. If you can't love, you can't empathize, you can't keep relationships, you don't care about others' needs, wants, and feelings. It's actually quite sad when I think about it. It means that the narcissism, the inner self-hatred, is so intense. The inability to love themselves and who they are is so intense that they cannot love anyone or anything else. And that is sad. Currently, most medical professionals are treating narcissism with traditional therapies that are more specifically focused around malignant narcissist and sometimes do not accommodate for all of the intersections and the different types of narcissism and how those different types present in actual behaviors. Narcissism is a topic that personally I am going to be doing a lot more research. It's going to be my life research because I think the solution is collectivism, but I can't prove it until we do some collectivism. Based on recent studies and numbers that have been shared with us by Doctor Ramani, about 25 to 30% of the US population are suffering from some type of narcissism. The math on that works out to roughly about 100 million people. And that is an epidemic. I'm very curious and have been exploring if there are any connections between the fact that capitalism has caused us to live in a society of extreme individualism and the fact that we currently have an epidemic of narcissism. I can just put the connections together in my head that a product or symptom of an incredibly individualistic society would be narcissism. Self-made. I don't need anybody. And given that there is not exactly a cure or any solution to this mental health disorder, I'm just curious if maybe the cause of this disorder is society. I'm actually quite curious if a lot of our mental health disorders are not caused by capitalism and society, but you know, I don't have a PhD and y'all won't listen to me about every single thing like that, so I will let the professionals handle that, but there's something going on there. There's something there. I'm going to be diving deeper into some of the connections and background of some of the topics I just mentioned in the future, particularly when we get to talking more about cults and how cults are just a replication of the capitalist system in a smaller microcosm. I'm very excited to explore this and get feedback from other people who have had other experiences or are maybe also doing research on this topic when it comes to narcissism and how it is connected to capitalism and how the society is currently running. One of the last things I wanted to add in this topic is the fact that if 100 million people in America are currently suffering with narcissism or narcissistic symptoms, that means 1 out of every 3 people is a narcissist, which means 2 out of every 3 people are suffering from narcissistic abuse. And in my research, narcissistic abuse is up there with being one of the most intense healing processes, especially because you don't ever get recognition from that narcissist, which can make it very invalidating of your past experiences. As well as the ungaslighting, the constantly being triggered by memories and having to rewrite them in your head. Like, what actually fucking happened? I think collectively, as a society, as the masses, as the proletariat, as the revolutionaries, it is incredibly vital that we understand and are very aware of narcissism within society and our culture, especially because we are going to have to navigate through those 100 million narcissists as we progress the revolution, because again, currently we don't have a solution to heal them. I do hope during revolutionary organizing, some of that healing process will start. Because of the number of narcissists and the number of people who have suffered from narcissistic abuse in our society, we have a collective obsession with narcissists in our everyday life, in our politicians, and in our media. We worship them. We actually shame people for not replicating their behavior. So as part of our deprogramming from capitalism, we really need to wean off the titty of narcissist. in every aspect of society, because you have one everywhere. One is probably running the company that you work at. No, like seriously, like I'm 99% sure most of the companies that you work at are being ran by narcissists, unless you've run the company. And then I'm sure it's not, well, I mean, for 1 in 3 of you, I'm sure it's not. Oh, fuck.